To understand the growth and the development of finite element method, the history of the finite element method must be known. So to see the history of a finite element method, how it has evolved, let us see the evolution of finite element method. So finite element method was basically developed by an aircraft engineers in the early 1940s, primarily matrix method of analysis. Then later in 1945, finite element began in the field of structural engineering introduced by Herenkopf. In 1947, Levy introduced the flexibility or force method of analysis. Later in 1953, Levy suggested the stiffness method that can be alternatively used in analyzing statically redundant aircraft structure. Then in 1954, Hargreaves and Kelsey developed matrix structural analysis method and the role of energy principles in the finite element method. Later in 1960, the term finite element was first introduced by Clough in plane stress analysis, and he used both for triangular and rectangular elements. And most of the finite element analysis work up to 1960s dealt with the small strain and small displacement, elastic material behavior and static loading. But in 1961, Turner considered a large deflection and thermal analysis problem. In 1962, Gallagher considered material non-linearities problem, whereas buckling problem were initially treated by Gallagher and Padlock in 1963. In 1968, Zienkiewicz extended the method to viscoelasticity problem. The weighted residual method was first introduced by Szabo and Lee for structural analysis problem in 1969, whereas Zienkiewicz and Parekh in 1970 involved in transient problems. From the year 1960 to 1970, finite element method was extended to the application in shell bending, plate bending, heat transfer analysis, fluid flow analysis, and a general 3D problem in structural analysis. From the early 1960s to the present, enormous advances have been made in the application of finite element method to solve complicated engineering problems. As scientists and engineers are involved in breaking down the complex problem into a simpler solution, the mathematicians continue to put the finite element method on sound theoretical ground. The engineers also continue to find interesting extension in various branches of engineering. This resulted finite element method or finite element analysis application in various other fields. So this is how the current finite element method or finite element analysis as a result of the earlier evolution which started in 1940s. Now let us see why finite element method in engineering. Since I've answered the question for why finite element method is used in engineering problems or an engineering structure or for any structure. So for any structure, for example, imagine you are holding a scale, a steel scale, and you are applying a load, right? So to what extent the steel scale will bend? So by Hooke's law, you can say stress is directly proportional to strain under elastic limit. So when I apply a load at the end of the scale by holding it in the other end, the steel scale will bend to certain amount of forces is applied under its elastic limit. But when the elastic limit exceeds, it bends permanently if the steel scale is made up of a mild steel material. So beyond the elastic limit, the steel scale will obviously bend because of the load applied that exceeds when it is exceeding the elastic limit. So now here the unknowns are because of the load applied on the steel, it develops a stress. And because of the elastic material of the steel, it elongates. So the second unknown is strain. So to calculate the stresses and the strain that is involved when the load is applied on the steel scale, to see the behavior of the mild steel scale and its deflection or the deformation beyond the elastic limit, one should have a clear idea about stresses and the strain. Now let us see what are the unknowns that are available in the engineering problems. So in an engineering problems, the basic unknowns are displacements in solid mechanics, velocicities in fluid mechanics, electric and magnetic potentials in electrical engineering, temperature in heat flow problems. So these unknowns must be known before designing the actual structure or an actual element. So without knowing these unknowns, the behavior of the structure or the entire material cannot be predicted. So the engineer should have a clear knowledge of these unknowns to predict the behavior of the structure before designing it. So now we have a clear idea about the different unknowns in engineering problems. But we need to know the procedure. We need to know the procedure involved in finite element analysis to solve for these unknowns in engineering problems. Now let us see the general procedures in finite element analysis. The general procedures of finite element analysis for a structural problems are classified into two methods: force method, displacement or stiffness method. As the term force method the force, the internal forces are the unknowns, whereas in the displacement or stiffness method, displacements are the unknowns. So as discussed earlier, in force method, the internal forces in the structure or an element are considered as an unknowns of the problem, whereas in the displacement or stiffness method, displacements of the nodes are considered as unknowns of the problem. Among these two approaches, force or stiffness method, displacement method is more desirable as its formulation is simpler for the more structural analysis problem. The majority of general purpose finite element programs have used displacement method for solving structural problems. Now we have a clear idea about the procedures that is involved in finite element analysis. There are two simple procedures: force method or displacement or stiffness method. So based on the selection of the procedure, let us see the general steps involved in finite element analysis. In finite element analysis, the first step is the discretization of the structure. Now let us see how a discretization will be done in the first step. So what do you mean by discretization? Discretization is the art of subdividing a structure into a convenient number of smaller elements, which is known as discretization. The smaller elements can be classified into one-dimensional element, two-dimensional element, three-dimensional element, and axisymmetrical element. Based on the nature of the structure, one of these elements will be used during discretization. In simple term, discretization is nothing but subdividing the entire structure into a smaller portion or elements. Now let us see how an one-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional and axisymmetrical elements will look like. Let us see one-dimensional element. A bar and a beam element is considered as a one-dimensional element. The simplest line element is also known as linear element that has two nodes at each ends. So this figure shows a two-noded bar element. Now let's see the two-dimensional element. The two-dimensional element, a triangular and rectangular elements are considered as two-dimensional element. These elements are loaded by force in their own plane. It has nodes at the corners. As in case of a triangular element, it will have 3 nodes and 3 elements. Whereas in case of a rectangular element, it will have 4 nodes with 4 elements. In case of a 3-dimensional element, this is the most common 3-dimensional elements which will be used for 3-dimensional structures. The most common used 3-dimensional elements are tetrahedral and hexahedral elements. These elements are used for 3-dimensional stress analysis, and the simplest 3-dimensional elements have nodes at the corners. In a tetrahedral element, it will have 4 nodes, whereas in hexahedral element it will have 8 nodes at the corners. Finally, let us see axisymmetrical elements. The axisymmetry element is developed by rotating a triangle or a quadrilateral about a fixed triangle or a quadrilateral in an axis in the plane of an element through 360 degrees. When the geometry and the load of the problems are axisymmetry, these elements are used. So based on the nature and the type of the structure, one of these elements will be used. Either we can use one-dimensional element, two-dimensional element, three-dimensional element, and finally axisymmetrical element. So based on the nature of the structure, one of these elements shall be used for discretization.